Hello, tabletop baseball fans. Steve here with another unboxing video. One of my acquaintances in one of the online forums related to tabletop games gave me first shot at this game. As you could tell by the title of the video, the game is Longball. I believe I'm getting the 1977 edition, which would be based on the 1976 season cards generally. So without further ado, I'll get my authentic carpet knife here and cut this open. As you may know from watching my channel, I've taken an interest in the long ball game over the last year or so. I actually built a spreadsheet to reverse engineer long ball cards, or the game, and then create long ball cards. I helped moderate a Facebook page dedicated to the long ball game. And with the help of another acquaintance in the hobby, we've added a lot of homebrew teams to the Facebook group in the files section. So I'm trying to talk, chew gum, and cut at the same time, and that's not working too well. Hey, one thing I will mention, if you are a person who is into collecting, including buying or selling, just be aware that whether it's UPS or the post office or whomever, they sometimes can really abuse some of these boxes. So I think this one was packed pretty well, but you can see it's kind of been through the ringer. It was kind of crushed, maybe got caught in the machine. But in any case, let's see what we got here. So lots of bubble wrap. It's always a good thing. Some other packing material you see here. Yeah, looks like the box took a little beating. I don't know. I'm guessing that may have been a function of the post office beating up on the outside box. It's not the end of the world to me. It was not in mint condition to begin with. For example, there's a little tear in the corner there. This person selling these actually was selling them for a friend, and he had two to sell, and he actually gave me first dibs on the better one. So this box, just for reference, looks to be about 14 inches wide by 11 or so inches, and then a few inches tall. There we go, a little hard to open. So here we have it, long ball. So long ball was, as you can see in my other video, long ball was based on 2 D8 dice. And the thinking, to some extent, I think by the originator, was this was going to be a more precise or accurate game compared to like Strat or APBA, which only used 2 D6 dice. There was a little flaw in his logic as it relates to Strat anyways, because Strat uses 3 D6 dice and Longball only uses 2 D8s. I cover this extensively in my other video. They have these markers, which I believe are for marking the base runners. So here we have the Longball score sheet, and Longball was a game originally marketed under the name Ashburn Industries, and then for a time it was under this Scoremore game from Clinton, Massachusetts. So what we have here as well is the roster. And this is how you can decipher which year you have. And basically this roster is designed with what the company anticipated was going to be the coming year's roster. So if somebody got traded over the winter, they will show up generally on their new team here, and then occasionally there will be a rookie show up on the roster as well. So I'll probably end up scanning and posting this on the Facebook page at some point, but we'll take a look and see what we have here in terms of players. Like here we have Atlanta, and I'm just looking to see if we have Hank Aaron, and we don't, which would probably make sense because I think he was retired. Maybe 1975 was his last year. So anyways, that's how you sort this out. Again, this is the Longball score sheet. Looks like they're two-sided, so yeah, they're all the same. All right, this is cool. This is, it looks like a flyer that goes with the game. I may or may not have seen the flyer before. And basically it describes the game, gives an example of some of the cards, how the game would be played, some of the rosters again. Something called Sports Yesteryear. Interestingly, there's a question, who was the youngest player to appear in a Major League Baseball game? I think that was Joe Nuxhall, and I just happened to be looking a few minutes ago, coincidentally, at his baseball reference page. Joe, as you all know, Joe pitched briefly as a 15-year-old and then came back later and had about a 10-year career. Baseball prediction kit by Biorhythms. That's a very 70s thing. Talking about biorhythms, so that's something kind of interesting. Here we have something interesting as well. Due to many requests, we are offering 60 additional players for Longball this year. It's $5. Yeah, so there's some extra players here. Again, here we go, yeah. 1977 game, complete game, $15. 702 cards, and then the 60 extras if you wanted them. And then there's obviously the 76 game and some other stuff. Yeah, 702 playing, 26 teams, etc., etc. They pay the postage, which is good. So that's the flyer. There's an instruction booklet. It looks to be in pristine condition. I find these instructions generally interesting to follow. Longball's a basic 50-50 game. I would say if there's one confusion that they have is in their stolen base chart, which is a very weird way you combine the catcher arm rating and the runner's stolen base or speed rating, and it's just kind of strange in my mind how you interpret it. I've done my best to interpret it and post a decoder ring on the Facebook page. The other thing that's interesting is they do have rundowns occasionally in Longball, which I don't know that I've seen in many other places. So as promised, these cards are they're perforated, but they're unseparated. And with Longball, what they did is I don't know, at some point, they started, the first year they had was the 1973 season, and the cards were more vertical. And then at some point, they changed them to horizontal, but they basically contain the same information regardless. And so you have, fielding ratings, which I think are 1 to 5. They have speed ratings, which is generally on let's say like a 3 to 10 scale. And starting at 6, they call them fast. Pitchers generally seem to be a 5 speed with few exceptions. They show the batting and throwing handedness, which is fine, but I don't think there's really any splits here. I have put in the Facebook page a suggestion on how to implement generic splits for this game. It's not perfect, but if splits are your thing, that would be good. And then throughout the entirety of this game up until the last edition, they put a customized injury table right on the card. I don't think that was the best use of space for these cards. The other thing that I think is really missing is some reference to a year, whether it's be the season that the cards are based on or just the version of the cards. Every team had a pitcher batting card, generic pitcher batting card. In my analysis of these cards, I think the pitching batting cards were too strong. Any number 13 or below on a card is a hit. So here you have a 4, which is an extra base hit. You have an 8, which is a single, another 8, which is a single, and a 9, which is a single. So I see at least 4 hits on this card out of 32 possibilities, I guess it would be. That seems like a few too many hits, but I could be wrong. And then every team had its own customized error chart in this version of the game. Fielding does not play a huge role here. Generally, it can play a role, I guess I would say. And to some extent, there's the 1 to 5 rating, but there's also, this is usually explained on the card, but there can be some bonus plays for somebody who's an extra good fielder. So anyways, here we have it. We have this Chicago card. I guess it's just a team divider card. There's nothing else on the back other than the name. That's helpful, but again, there's no year on here, and there's also no team designation on the individual cards. You can watch some of my other videos for explanation of how the game works, including the work I did to reverse engineer. There are catcher throwing ratings, as I mentioned. So yeah. Let's not belabor that too much more. So there's a field, and it's actually quite large. As you see here, this one is green. It's in perfect condition. I did have somebody scan the field, and I had it put on a mouse pad, at least a version of it. And then I also have it on a coffee mug. A guy named Keith Medeiros does those. Probably one thing that makes Longball is, as I said, the cards are a bit like Strat, but then they have these result boards, and these are heavy-duty cardboard. The results go from 1 to 50. In this first one here, it's 1 to 22, and the reason why it only goes to 22 is the way Longball works. There's a primary result for a 4 rated pitcher, and then there's a alternative result for pitchers with a rating of 1, 2, 3, as the case may be. But anyways, there's 50 total results on these boards, and there's 8 on-base situations, just like APBA. So you've got 400, I guess. You've got 400 different cells here. What I have learned is that over the years, these boards didn't change really over the entirety of this this game, with the exception of 1 or 2 cells. And I actually created a helper that allows you to look up the results. And so in that process, I studied every single cell on these boards. A few of the results are a little, I'll say, ambiguous, but for the most part, I think you can figure out what to do. And that's Longball. It says the complete Major League Baseball experience. I will say that Longball, in its final year, which I believe was 1979, for the 1978 season, switched away from individual player cards and ended up having a player roster and some generic cards. And I don't know if that was to save printing, so they didn't have to print 700 cards, or what. Longball suffers from a lack of precision, I think, to get the results as good as they could be or should be. And to be honest, the last edition made it even worse. So it made it even harder to customize the cards like you see here. So I think some extremes where people had a whole bunch of extra walks or a whole bunch of extra strikeouts, it just really wasn't able to be portrayed on the roster sheet appropriately. That's about all I have today. Thanks for listening and watching. The dilemma here, I'm a collector, but I'm also a gamer. And the dilemma here is, what do you do with a game like this that is, basically intact? Do you keep it intact as a collector's item, or do you break it apart to play it? So maybe you can weigh in on what you would do if this was your game. Thanks for watching. I have another unboxing, as you can see in the background. I'll be doing that shortly. And thanks for tuning in. Take care.